All right, connection looks good. Cool. We'll jump right in. I know it's been a couple weeks, been a bit busy. I had to push this off, but here we are. We're back. All right, good. And I can watch the chat. Awesome. I believe where we left off is we're still working on color theme. We're still working on Chrome. And we got tabs done. And the last big thing was me agonizing over these vertical bars that separate tabs in Chrome. We open it up here. You can see this guy, and I think what's next is to work on these two icon buttons. I'm kind of like working one row at a time. So we've got the tabs sorted out. Next, we should get this like adding a new tab button, and then I guess this search tabs thing, which if I remember correctly from previous streams, I don't think prototype, like building out this menu is something I want to tackle for this very first version. I don't know how much usage this thing gets from other folks, but it seems like kind of a niche thing. So the button will be present, that menu will not. So you can also see here, we've got like a round button here, a kind of squircle going on with this one. I think we have all of our icons, do we not? We don't. We're gonna need this chevron, but we do have a plus. And will these be the same component? They have the same hover state, but they don't have the same default state. They don't have the same border radius. They look like they actually have the same dimensions. I'm trying to look at other icon buttons. What I'm trying to decide right now is should they all be the same component? Okay, let's just start building that new tab one. We'll make up our minds as we go. So I'm going to start by grabbing the innermost piece, the icon itself. We'll call this icon button. And we know that we're going to need a couple different states here. So I'm going to make that the default one, detach, and then recomponentize so I can recombine these. This will be our state property. We've got default already, so that means this one can become hover. And I want to adjust adding there. Okay, and we know that these are perfect circles. What the size? What size ought these need to be? I know I have a screenshot. Oh, actually, I remember this page is where I put things when they're done. This is kind of my working space. So let's bring this over. Oh, I don't have that hover state captured, but I am pretty confident that this needs to be the same size as this guy. So let's actually throw down a stroke so we can see what we're doing. So I can see that this needs to be probably 10 by 10. No, 9 by 9. Wow. Right. Which gives us an overall size of 28 pixels. So I will match that for the border radius. So we have a perfect circle. We actually don't need this stroke. I'm going to remove it now. And then for our hover state, I think this is actually going to be that same transparent variable that we set up earlier. So if I go into the fill here and we look at what's available to us, I find it actually a lot easier to kind of browse things this way if I don't exactly know what I'm looking for. So we have Chrome. What do we have? Do we have anything generally in Chrome? We've got background hover. I think this is what we want, is this white at 16%. But this might not be the appropriate, this is kind of designated for closed tabs. So we might actually need to graduate this because this is getting reused in multiple places. Graduate this to be further upstream, potentially. Actually, does that get used other places too? Oh, excuse me, this isn't what we want, because what I'm looking at is light mode. But in the variables, I'm looking at dark mode, so do we have a light color at 0%? I think this is our only collection right now. About at the browser level. Okay, perhaps not. So what I'm going to do with this instance is actually give it a white fill, and let's put this at 16, maybe 56. I want to try and kind of do some color matching here. I'm going to draw a rectangle now and grab this as a flat color, and then see if we can get it exact. This looks close, 56%. That's good enough for me. I think this is white at 56%. And since this hasn't come up yet anywhere else, we can make it specific to that component. So instead of closing tab or tab, this is going to be a new color variable, and we can call it, we'll do background default, because we need that. Actually, no, we don't. If it's transparent, I don't really need it there, but I've been doing that for other components like closing tabs. But now, coming back to this stream 2 weeks later, I'm questioning this. I'm questioning if there's no change across modes, like if we just need something here because, and what is this? What is this line? Oh, something I can scrub with. Figma's letting me scrub these numbers. That's cool. Anyway, if there's no change across modes and you just need to populate it with something, so you make it invisible, you almost don't even need that variable, excuse me. Anyway, we have background hover. This is going to be in a group that we will call new tab, because that's going to be the function of the button. And that's what we got so far. Let's see what dark mode looks like. Oh, we know what that is. It's this kind of blue color. And I know we have that somewhere. Inner background hover. Yeah. And here we did something where we aliased it, right? Because this is that gradient overflow. And we always want these to be in sync. That gradient overflow has to match that background color for this to look correct. But again, we're using this color in a new place. This is going to be our dark mode. I think I'm just going to leave it like that for now, but now that we're starting to use the same value in multiple places, I might treat it like components. A rule at work that I've been following, and this does not come from my brain, this comes from Dan Mall. A rule that I've been trying to follow myself is that it has to show up 3 times for it to be like componentized, right? So on our design team, if 2 different designers who are working on 2 different areas of the product are using the same pattern in the same way, it's still not ready for the component library. We need to see 3 occurrences, 3 different teams, or 3 different areas or experiences within the product before it graduates out of their local files or even a local library that they're using up into the big shared library. And I think I might take that approach with variables in this file. Like, I want to see this in 3 different places. And that could be a cool automation to, and I'm saying this and I'm going to timestamp this for my buddy Gleb, because he and I have been talking about automating design systems, workflows, using a plugin. And how cool would it be to be able to have a plugin look at your variable collections and look for repeat raw values and then suggest, like, hey, 1D4974 is a raw color that comes up multiple times, more than, and it comes up this many times, and it comes up this many times in these collections. For example, color theme, this would show up twice because I have it here and here. Technically here too. And I don't even know, could the plugin suggest like the most upstream one to be like, could it turn some of these into aliases, and could it be smart about how it does that? That could be interesting. Okay, just a little nugget or a note for Gleb. Let's keep going. So we need to apply that variable. Too much yapping for me. We've got new tab is the group that we want, background hover. And then if we were to put this instance in, oops, oh my gosh, forgot how to use variables. Let's reset our changes there. We'll put this in its hover state. And where's my modes? Oh, I am totally, duh, right here, yeah, appearance. This is what I wanted. If I put this in dark mode, aha. Now, oh, foreground, this needs to change. So if we go to new tab, foreground, default. Let's sample that gray. It's not black. And then I bet, well, take a screenshot real quick. I don't think this is white either. Oh, whoops. And we want to apply this here. And in dark mode, we want that color. I don't think it changes. Foreground, new tab. Yeah, that stays the same. Why is this not showing up as C7? What did I do wrong? We are using foreground default. We're not really concerned with let's put this back in its default state. Yeah, this should be turning light. Right, like this. Why are you not doing that? Reset. Let's put you in. Put you in this box. Put you in dark mode. Why are you not doing what you should be doing? This is I'm very confused. Hold on. In light mode. Okay, hold up. We've got a frame. The frame is in dark mode. And in dark mode, we want to see this color on the icon. Selection color, hold up. Okay. Weird. I guess I didn't apply it. All right, and yeah, if we put you in your hover state, good, cool, great, amazing. When I watch this back, I will probably see my mistake more clearly. That always happens when I go to put in the chapters is, watching my stream, I will notice all these little things that I miss in my workflows. It's almost like a usability study in some ways, or kind of like shadowing somebody. You can be more attentive when you're not the one doing the thing. All right, so we've got our icon button. Now, the name doesn't match what's going on in the variables, but this is an icon. We're going to have multiple icon buttons, so I'd like that to be a group. New tab is what we'll call it. We'll put this over in our phase one. These components have all been color themed, but these are also going to be our icon buttons in a sort of section here. I think these are as well, but they so belong to tab as like a piece of anatomy. Whereas these things are kind of more free floating. Okay, so that gets us new tab. Then we want this guy. What is that even called? Search tabs. Okay. So let's make another. Let's grab a copy of new tab. And I think all we need to do here is get the chevron and then just round out these corners. So what I'm going to do is actually use an instance of hover to figure that out. I'll just put it right over top. And then reduce the border radius until we get what we need. Great. Okay. I'm going to lock that screenshot layer so I can grab this guy. This will be 1.5. We know we need that. We'll cut that to my clipboard, come back to my icons here, which I think, yes, are all just different shapes. This will be chevron down. And how else are we doing this? We are putting auto layout on these. And this needs to be unionized, and I'm going to use the trick from earlier. So obsessed. Okay. And I'm actually going to remove auto layout first, so that way these guys can stack. I'm going to take their parent frame and use Shift Option Command R to resize around that shape, but then take both of these vectors and union them, name it vector, go inside, delete one of them, and it doesn't matter what this is named. Now I've got the similar layer structure, right? And so just to test this out again, I should be able to, even though this menu icon has different underlying shapes, we should be able to swap it with our newly added chevron down, and it works perfectly. Oh, God. I would like to do that for our icons at work very badly. I have not yet. Okay, so new tab. That means this can be switched to chevron down. And I'm going to reset the size. That got weird. It wanted to keep some things. Oh, and check this out. So earlier everything was set to hug, but because this is an odd shape, I think what we actually want is to set this to fixed. And I think we had it correct earlier. It was 28 by 28. Again, let's put a stroke just to check things out. Good, that looks good. Okay, but we are likely, yes, we need to make sure that we have the right colors applied. Something I'm thinking about now is actually calling this icon buttons. putting these in a group called, like, this is where that new tab component starts. And perhaps this can actually be graduated up out into icon buttons because we can reuse this in multiple places, but this might be specific to new tab, right? So yeah, this is correct. Let's see if in icon buttons, if we make a foreground default, we're going to get the same. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. New group. This is going to be search tabs. Let's match over here. Search tabs. The foreground is 1F. Okay, so that's already different. And then what about in dark mode? Do we have that? Yes. There it is. I'm gonna zoom in tighter. Okay, yeah, those are different. The light mode is the same, but the dark mode foreground value is different. So we will select these. We will go into new tab. And now when we put this instance in dark mode, we get the correct thing. Great. Okay, I think that takes care of search tabs. Excellent. We are missing prototyping connections. At the very least, we want, while hovering on this, to do something. Just want to look at Figma's icons here real quick. I've not appreciated these before. Those are quite nice. This while hovering one caught my eye. Oh, I see, I see. Oh, that's very thoughtful. Good for them. I wonder if that's new. I'm like realizing if it's not, I really didn't notice that for a while. Okay, search tabs. So where does that get us in our inventory? Let's go check some things off the list before I forget. We made another icon. We made chevron down, which is for search tabs. And I remember green is Chrome. We got this taken care of. It doesn't need an enabled or disabled state. You can always make a new tab. There is never a circumstance where this becomes disabled. So we only need that state property. So we can strike through. Strike through, and we made a second one of these. And it is also done. It is icon button search tabs. Oh, I should link these to, like, I should put a hyperlink on these to the component, maybe. Maybe. Close tab is done. This is another one. You can always close a tab. There's never a time when you can't, when you're not allowed. Oops. Let's see. I was hoping if there's a keyboard shortcut for strike through, I would like to use it. Let's go up into text and see. Shift Command X. Okay. Cool. This looks like just generic icon button. I'm not quite sure what this was. Okay. Still, that's all the cleaning up I wanted to do. So if we are looking specifically at this row, right? Oh, and here we have a tab bar that we're working on. we can actually start to, yeah, we can put some things in it. So if we go to our assets, we go to local components. Oh, golly. We want to go to phase 1 because that's where all of the correct things live. We can put add tab. No, that's an icon. New tab. Oh, and those conflict. Let's go to this component. Why did I name it that? That's a goofy name. I know I talked about this before, about normally I would name this plus or just add, right? Because that's what the symbol represents. Or this is a star. It is not, but it is the meaning it has in Chrome is bookmark. And I think I decided because this is such a tightly scoped file and not some big, more generic design system that I'd get, excuse me, more specific in my naming here. But I'm not doing that here. This is chevron down. Oh well. Going back to planning. So we have our add tab item. Spacing we've yet to address. That needs to get addressed at some point. It'll do things like round off the corners, we'll get our padding correct, we'll get our alignment correct. Probably look more like this maybe. Also, space between these, yeah, that needs to be more tracked out. I mean, I don't know if that's like the word really, but just put that in there for now. Okay, so we've got adding tabs, and then all the way over here is search tabs. We can put that in. And so as we're building this tab bar, we have a bunch of stuff on the left and then this one thing on the right. So this stuff kind of all needs to go in some sort of auto layout group. Tab bar. Tabs and controls. Right? Because we will need to have the auto layout spacing be set to auto there. The problem is this is set to fill, which it should do, but the tabs themselves need a maximum width that they eventually hit, and that's not the case for them at the moment. They fill, which we do want. That's the behavior we want. We want tabs to fill all available space, but once they reach a certain threshold, they need to stop. And we will get that, we will figure that out when we get to the spacing, but right now we're focused on color. So being focused on color, I think we've gotten all of the anatomy for this top toolbar. The only other thing I could think that we could do here is I'm gonna use my keyboard to like use focus states to see if I can get to my tabs. Like, oh, did I say I was gonna do these hover? Maybe not. Maybe not for the first one. For the first version of this. I think I'm happy with what we have. We've got all of our hover states. The prototyping would be another thing, right? Tabs are much like radio buttons. Only one item in the collection, in the group, can be selected at once. Which, thank goodness we have variables. It becomes a lot more manageable with variables. Okay, I think we can move on to this bottom toolbar here. So we've got our tab bar. What are we calling this? This is going to be, let's redo the order here. Shift Command X. So we've got our tab bar done. Not really, right? We need the background. No, we have it. Yeah. Okay. So we've got our tab bar done. The next thing below that is the URL bar. We've also got our Windows controls. Okay. Oh, but not done across browsers. Let's turn this green. We're focused on Chrome right now. We'll make another set for Firefox, another set. Oops. Another set for Safari. Cool. And the tab bars for those are not done. URL bar is the next piece, right? Where this lives. So we've got URL bar. That will be auto layout in here. This will eventually just become browser Chrome, which will be the case no matter the brand of browser we are in. This is called Chrome, and that's why Google named it Chrome. And so in the URL bar, I'm going to delete everything because we don't need that stuff. But we do know, this all needs to be aligned to the bottom. And we know that we want 0 pixels padding on the bottom there. Hold on. Seemed intentional that I had those guys. I want this aligned to the bottom. I need these to be touching because we need whatever this white color is to also be for the URL bar. And again, like we might start to have to move our variables around. So this is an active tab's background default. So when we are in the tab, right, we've got white and this gray color. And then we are going to have another color called background within a group called, and I don't want to go searching for this little hashtag, URL bar. And it's just the background, right? Active tab. Or no, that's close. Yes. I think that does need to be on the bottom. Okay. So we've got our URL bar. What goes inside of the URL bar? First are some of these icon buttons, right? These could all be the same. These could each be their own component. These are more icon buttons, so. And actually, hold on, I want to think about why are these separate? One reason they're separate is they have different border radiuses. Their behavior is the same. Kind of. Like the event that they trigger is different, but They are buttons of the same dimensions. You hover over them, and their fill changes in kind of similar ways, but not exactly. I think they should be different. The border radius is enough of a difference for me. But these guys, could we have like, this would be like page controls, right? We are looking at a web page inside of this tab, and you can go back a page, right? You can go forward a page, you can refresh this page, reload this page, as Chrome says. So page back. Put this over here. Swap these out. Left. Ah, page back. That's what we got. I was looking for arrow left because that's what I normally would have named it. These are circles. Let's find out real quick the size, roughly, just to kind of get a head start on dimensions. Okay, so this needs to be bigger, is what I'm seeing. So more padding. I'm gonna put, I need to put something on that. Oh, these need to be hug as well. $11 by $11, very strange, but it is what it is. That also gives us such weird dimensions. I'm gonna say 34 by 34. We're not doing hug. We're just gonna straight up do 34 by 34 with no padding. And we need our icon centered. Reset. Yeah, maybe that's the way to go for the other ones too. These aren't going to change in size. Like they don't need to be. Oh, maybe that is. I'm not going to worry about that. The way that you can like change the size of text in your interface, the same way actually for my streams, I like slightly increase the size of Figma's UI because I know that if you're watching this on YouTube, then you might not be in full screen mode. I want it to be a little bit comfier for you to read because you're like you've got the video with the rest of YouTube's interface around it potentially. Okay. Let's get the colors sorted out. So we are going to need a new group. This is going to be page back. This is also an icon button, so it will live in here. And it is going to need cover state for the background. It's also going to need foreground, which doesn't look like it changes, just like the others. So that will be foreground default. Let's put this in its hover state. This is page back, background hover. I think we want this to be some kind of opacity. Let's try that 16%. Oops, hold on. I'm not Oh, this needs to be in dark mode. And we'll figure out light mode. 16 is too much. 12? 10? It's 10. 10%. Okay. And then the foreground is that color. Page back, foreground. What am I doing wrong? It's the same thing again. I thought I had applied that. Page back. There we go. And in light mode, okay, excellent. And then in light mode, what does that look like? I need to bring up my system settings over here. Whoa, bright. Going back to dark. Okay. It's gonna be some sort of oh, we've already got one going here. And that's much too severe. Even that, maybe it's 4%. 4%. But this is still the wrong color. What is up with these selection colors? Hold on. Yeah, we've got foreground default and page back, and then we've got background. Hover, foreground, background. What is going on? This is the hover state. Oh, I put it in the wrong spot. Meow. My cat has arrived. This one was white and it was 10%. Let's find out. Got hover state, put this into dark mode. Come on now. What's going on? Ah, there we go. It was just my layer order. Okay, I think 10% was correct. Okay, good. Wow, this stuff gets tricky. Okay, good. So we've got page back, which is great because it's probably going to be the same for page forward. But the trick with these too is that like when we go to a new tab, we need disabled states. It looks like you can always refresh a tab, but we do need disabled states here. So when we look at page back, I'm going to remove auto layout just so it's a bit more flexible inside the component set here. Disabled, nothing happens on hover. That's not always true in every interface. Sometimes something does happen when you hover on a disabled item, but in this case, no. So we are going to add a new variant property, and we are going to call this disabled. And that means these are enabled, so the default value for the variant or for the component is false. And then we've got true for this one. Meow, meow. And let's, yeah, kitty. We are gonna grab colors. So we've got disabled in light mode, disabled in dark mode. Oh my gosh. I am getting told some stuff by my cat, right? Okay, page back. So we've got background, hover, foreground default. The background isn't going to change, it's the foreground that changes. So we'll add a new color. This is going to be foreground default disabled. And in light mode, it is going to be that gray. And in dark mode, it's going to be that gray. And this only gets applied here. Why does that keep happening? It looks like if I apply it, oh, because I've got a union. Okay, that's why things were getting weird earlier. So now if I put this in its disabled state 4, that's weird, default, then it behaves correctly. And if I put this, and if I try to put it, force it in its hover state, it goes to being enabled, right? Because that's just how the structure works. So we can delete those, we can delete that. And presumably we can do the same for page forward and refresh. We can just copy this whole thing. Page forward, we'll just take all of these and swap the direction. I'm going to call it page refresh just so that way like they all show up. But we know that page refresh does not have, you can't, it is not disabled. Reapply auto layout to these, go back to color theme, go into our icon buttons, give us some more space here. Meow. All right, that's a lot of things to cross off. Awesome. So we got page back is done, and it also had state, and it had this enabled, disabled. Same for page forward. And then when it comes to page refresh, meow, meow, meow. We did not have a disabled state, so that's 3 more icon buttons done, which allows us to put them in here. Again, go to our tabs. So we've got page back, page forward, refresh page. Those are not in the right order. I want them all over here, and that's the order we want. So the next thing would be this URL bar. Oh, and I'm looking at the time, 9:50. It's not quite been an hour. But I'm wondering if I wanted to cap this at an hour. So I think I'm gonna call it here. Next stream, I'm gonna tackle that actual URL bar. I think it's gonna be, it will be gnarlier, right? Because it's got interactive states, you can tab on it, you can type in it. Oh man. And I know that people have used variables, set up variables in a way that you can get kind of like a real typing experience in Figma. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, I think whole next stream will be dedicated to that. Thinking schedule-wise, next one will probably be scheduled for this coming Friday, which is going to be October something. 1 second. The 18th is what I'm looking at. Yeah, that'll be a big piece to get done, the URL bar. Cool. All right. If anybody tuned in, thank you for tuning in. Who are watching this later, I hope this was helpful, useful, and I'll see you in a week.